Good morning and welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we've been working on this new physics theory about inertia, but we just can't seem to get it to go anywhere. So today we are going to take a look at how you can go about creating and customizing custom pages on your website, as well as handling the top navigation, how you configure that navigation, those navigation items, and also the navigation items at the bottom of your website, depending on which template you're using. We have gone over some specific page functionality more recently, but we haven't really looked at the pages system overall to really get a good handle on how to handle those navigation pieces. So that is what we're going to take a look at this week. So first off, in order to get to that page, we're going to go down to Website and then Pages. Now I could also have typed Pages up here in the Quick Action search box, and it would come up in the autocompleter, and then I could click on it to get there from there as well. If you are still on DeltaNET 5, the link to the pages is in the same place. It's under Website and Pages. So now once we're here, we're going to have this menu here on the left, which shows all of the pages that are currently on my website. Now whether or not they're in the navigation is denoted by what's over here on the side. So all of these T's mean that these pages are in the top navigation somewhere. And if they're in the top navigation, they'll also show up in this navigation menu section down here. And this is what I would use to control where it is they're positioned within that menu. So what you can do is use this, just drag these around, and I'll go into this a little bit more detail later, but you can drag these to different positions to determine where they'll show in the top navigation, and then you can also nest them under items to make them show in a drop-down under those. So we'll go over those in detail after we create a page. And then down here, we have bottom links. So if you have any pages set to show in the bottom links on your site, they'll appear down here, and you can drag those around very similar to what's up here, only they can't be nested in the bottom. They can only just controls what order they show up in down in the footer of the website. So now to create a new page, we can just click on New Page, and that's going to open up our editor over here on the right, and it's going to start as a custom page. Now if I were to click on any of these, it would also load up this section on the right, but filled in with the content for whatever custom page I chose. And there are some specialty type pages, so for example, if I click on Customer Reviews, we can see that it is a predefined page. It's already set to a specific page. Everything's already set up for that one because it is a special page type. If I had any regular custom pages over here, clicking on them would bring up this custom page editor. So we'll click on New Page again, but with the custom tab selected, and then that page content would be filled out in here. So we'll go ahead and make one so we can take a look at it. So first off, I can choose whether I want this page to only be visible to registered users. So this would mean somebody that's come to my website and made a request, asked for a showing on a listing or asked for information or saved a search, basically created an account. So they have to have an account and be logged into that account to view this page if I have this box checked. If they try to get to this page and they're not logged into an account, it'll take them to the login page, basically prompting them to create an account. So we'll leave that unchecked for this one. Next, I can determine whether or not there is a content or a contact form included on this page. So if I check this box, you can see a whole bunch of other options show up. First, I can control where it would appear, either left or right side of the page with this first drop down. I can choose the type, and really all this does is control which extra checkboxes appear on that form. It just kind of gears it a little bit more toward the different form types. So general, just a basic contact form, and then general with address also has some fields where they can enter their address. So it really just depends on what this page is going to be about as to what kind of contact form you want to put on it. Next we have contact form title, so this would be what text shows up at the top of the contact form. All these fields are optional, so I can leave this blank and it'll just fill in with its own thing, or I can put contact me. The thank you page URL would allow me to create another page. So if I wanted to create a new custom page over here and save it, I could then use this to make sure that when they fill the form out and click submit, it'll take them to whatever page I put here. So that can be kind of neat if you really want to customize what page they'll land on after they create an account. To do that, you would just put the URL of this page here. So after you create it, you would copy the page URL and just paste it in here. Next, the default form comments. This is what's going to show up in the comments section of that form. So again, you can leave this blank. And the idea for these forms really is that the customer is going to enter that stuff anyway. But if you wanted that to start off with some specific content, like enter your comments here, which it's pretty obvious what it's for, so you wouldn't have to do something like this. But it makes sense on specific kinds of pages, especially if you're looking for a specific kind of thing to be entered into that comment section. You could put that here. And then the form button, and I could say contact. This is basically the submission button, so what text you want to appear on the submission button. I believe it'll be just submit by default, but you can make that whatever you want as well. Now the next piece is form autoresponder. So if I've defined any autoresponders, then I could choose those from here, but for now it'll just be on the default. The form also by default will have some checkboxes at the bottom of it that lets the customer define what it is they're contacting us for information about. By default, they're the things like buying, selling, and you'll see them here in a minute. But if I didn't want those to be on the form at all, I could check this box and that would remove those. And then next, I can choose my page type. So standard is just going to be any regular page, so it's just going to load up as content in the content section of my website, and my template will be all wrapped around it. I could also make this a squeeze page, or a standard page with no navigation, rather. So what this will do is load up within my template, but if we switch over here, all this top navigation will be gone. So it's essentially like a squeeze page in that aspect. They'll land on my website with my branding and my template and everything, but they won't be able to navigate off of that page. The idea is that they'll have to fill out the form, and once the form is filled out, then it'll take them to my full website where they'll have the navigation and the ability to do everything that they can do on my website. And then our last option here is a true squeeze page. So this is a completely blank page. So if we take a look here, this template, none of this information will be here. It'll be a completely blank page populated only with whatever content I put here. So that would be what a squeeze page looks like. So we'll switch that back to standard for this, and I'll say this is some page content. Now we've done some videos relatively recently where they cover kind of the specifics and some of the finer things you can do with the WYSIWYG editor. So for now we'll just put a little content in here. Just know that you can add pictures, you can embed videos, you can add in some custom things using this drop-down menu. So I could add in a custom form here. I could put a photo gallery on this page that'll pull from the gallery system. So there's a lot of options here as far as the kinds of things that I can place within my page. Now you can even do a complete search results section. So if you were making like a community landing page, I could go in here, type up some content, put in maybe a picture gallery about the community, and then I could drop in a search results section that is specific to that community just by using this. So let's see. Search results advanced, so if I clicked on that, I could fill everything out, and then it would show a search results section using that criteria on this page. So again, we have some more videos that go over those pieces in more detail. So for the sake of this one, we're just going to put some content in here. Please fill out my form. There we go. So moving on down the page, you can see we've got a few more custom variables you can put in there, just some hints as kinds of things that you can drop in on the page. Data at end of page lets you determine whether the system will drop in a piece at the very bottom. This is more or less older functionality, so these are pieces you will not typically use, as we have better ways of displaying sold listings and a better functioning map search at this point. So those you generally won't use anymore. Now we're going to give it a link title. Now this is basically what the user will click on in the navigation to get to this page. So we'll just call it my custom page for now. And I want this to show in the navigation menu, but I also want it to show in the bottom links, so we'll do that. Now you can see it automatically filled in my page title with what I had filled in for link title. Page title is what's going to appear up here in the browser tab at the very top, so keep that in mind. It's also something that's picked up by search engines, so it's a good idea to make this a very short, but something that is descriptive about what kind of content is on that page. The next thing we will do is meta description and meta keywords. Meta description is just a readable description of the kind of content on that page. Again, it's picked up by search engines is its main thing. And then keywords are basically comma-separated keywords or phrases that describe what's on the page. Those aren't typically used by search engines anymore, so it doesn't hurt by putting them in, but it probably won't do you a lot of favors either. But it doesn't hurt to put those in. The next thing we have is if you built out this page and didn't put any kind of graphics on it, if you do want to share this page with Facebook, you can define an image here that is the image that we will suggest that Facebook use when this page is shared. The image has to meet certain quality requirements in order for Facebook to actually use it, so we can't guarantee that that image will be used, but this gives you the option of putting in an image that will kind of tell Facebook to favor. Generally, when you share this page, that is the image that will be used without too much trouble. The next thing we do is we can define a URL for this page. You don't have to. The system will build one if you don't, but I'll just call it my custom page in the interest of having something easy to remember. By putting the / in here, basically what this is saying is it's going to be whatever your website's domain is, so bobtherealestateagent.com followed by whatever we put here. So / my custom page. Keep in mind that because this is part of a URL, you can't have much in here in terms of special characters. Basically dashes and underscores are pretty much all you can use here, in addition to just regular letters and numbers. So there you go. Now if I want, I could also use the pages system to forcibly redirect one URL on my page to, or a specific URL on my website, to another page. To do that, I can click on redirect this URL and then put in the URL I want it to redirect to here, and that can be particularly neat if you have some third-party resource, like you want someone to be able to type in bobtheagent.com / my custom page and have it redirect them to YouTube. I don't know why you would do that, but this functionality allows that kind of thing. So you would just check redirect this URL and then paste in your URL without the HTTP at the beginning, because you can see that's already included. Now moving on, the next thing you can do is when a registered buyer visits this page, you can have them automatically added to a specific campaign or action plan, or multiple, and that's what this section is for. So, and it says right here, if a customer is logged in and visits this page, they will be added to the campaign selected above. So if I wanted everyone who visited this page, like let's say this was a buyer-specific page, I could say everyone who's logged into an account that visits this page should automatically be added to these campaigns. So there you go. That is the creation of a custom page. And I'm just going to go down here and click Submit to get our page created. So now our page has been built. And as I scroll down a little bit, you can see there's now a link to the page. So I can click on this link to redirect out to it. Or this is my page URL, so this can also be particularly useful, especially if I didn't define a page URL here. Then this will tell me what the URL of this page actually is, the one that the system built for it. So that's about it. Now in addition to that, if we look over here, we can now see that we have my custom page. There's a T and a B indicating it was added to the top navigation and the bottom links. So basically T is the navigation menu, top nav, and the B is bottom links. Top nav referring to this here, and then bottom links will show up down here in the footer if your template supports bottom links. And as we scroll down here, we can see that it was also added to our navigation menu here. So now, to determine how I want this to show up in my top navigation, I can just grab this piece and I can drag it wherever I'd like. So if I want it to show up toward the beginning of the list, we'll just drag it up here a bit. We'll put it right after home, click Save, and you can see it's in my bottom link, so I'll go ahead and save that, but I don't have an order to set there. And now we'll just go over to my website and refresh it. And there's my link to my custom page up in the top navigation. And if I scroll down to the bottom, this particular template, here we are, it shows the bottom links over here on the right. So there's my custom page. And like I said, those bottom links especially really depend on the template you're using as to where they'll show. So there we go. So now let's say I want to move this around. Let's say I want it to be under the buyer's menu. I can just drag it down and embed it once, and that'll put it in the drop-down menu under buyers. If I really want to get fancy, I can actually go one more step out. So if I drag it to the right a little bit, well, now it's nested under property search, which means it's going to be in a flyout menu under property search. So we'll go down here and resave this, and then refresh our page again. Now you can see it disappeared from the top navigation, but if I go to buyers, property search, and then there it is. So we'll go ahead and click on it, and then this is what my page actually looks like. So this is a fully custom page, all of my content's over here on the left, and then this is what the form looks like if you've set up a custom form. And you can see Contact Me is what we said is the form title, so that loaded up. Enter your comments here, filled into our comments section, and then these are the checkboxes I mentioned before. So there you go. So that is how you set up a custom page and how you can configure your top navigation and your bottom navigation on your website. I'm going to go ahead and click on my demo logo here so it goes back to my home page. Now if we go back into the DeltaNet, just real quick, I'll cover some of the additional page types you can create. Again, we do have videos that specifically cover some of the specific page types that really go into those in detail, but I'd like to just cover them at a real high level first. So if we go up here, I'm going to click on New Page, and you can see the other pages we can create are predefined. So if I select that, all of the options are the same, except I now have a predefined page link, so I can select from all of our pre-built pages. Some of those are a special page type that have to do with a blog if I have a blog set up, or the customer reviews page if I have configured the customer reviews system. So keep that in mind. But mainly you can just select your page from there, and then the rest of these options work the same way. Page title, meta description, areas link shown, whether it shows the top or bottom, so that's all the same. If I go to external link, again, most of these options are about, well, some of the options are the same. The link title is the same. Link URL is where that link title is going to go. So this could be a third-party site, like I could put a link in my top nav that goes to YouTube. So I would type up here YouTube, and then in my link URL, generally you would copy and paste this in, but that would be the URL to YouTube. So then I would have a link in my top navigation, and when they click it, they would go there. The special options here are that I can select to have this page surrounded by my agent template. What that does is create an iframe that actually puts this page within my website. So it would be kind of like, we'll click on my custom page here. It would be like when I was on this page, there would be a box in the center, and within that box would be YouTube. So that is what that means. The next thing I can do is have it open in a new window. Typically you'll kind of go one or the other on these, but you could do both. Our suggestion is that anytime you are linking out to a third-party website and you're not framing it in, you want it to open up in a new tab. And this just means when they click the link, it would pop open a new browser tab like this, and that's where that page content would be. That way the user still has a tab on your website. You know, they haven't left your website, they just got to the new website in a new tab. Navigation and bottom links work the same way. And lastly, if we go over to Market, this allows me to create a Market landing page. So to set this up, link title works the same way. When I click on Select a Market, I would then go in and use one of the options there to define my market, and then I can narrow down the types of listings, the introduction text, and this is just some of the page content, just text-only content that appears on those pages. So I would fill that in. And then the campaigns and areas link shown, that stuff works the same way. Again, we have some videos that look over this in more detail, so I won't get too in the weeds on it, but this is how you create those market landing pages. So there you have it. Now, we'll take a look at one more thing, and this is going to be just kind of basic page management stuff down here. So if I go down, we now have my custom page in the list, so if I want to make changes to it, I can just click on it in the list. And as I mentioned earlier, it loads up all of that page's options over here, so I can then edit them, and then I would go down here and click on Submit to save my changes. But the other thing I can do here is I can delete this page. So if I want to get rid of it altogether, I would just click on Delete and confirm it. If I have made changes to this page, in fact, let's go ahead and say this is some new page content. I'm very creative today. There we go. We'll make it bigger too. And now we'll go down here and submit it. So now that I've edited this page once, you can see I have an additional button at the top for page history. So let's say I went into this page, made some changes, and I don't like them, and I can't figure out how to get it back to what it was. Well, in that case, I can just go up here, click on page history, and you can see up at the top it allows me to select different revisions for this page, and when I select it, it shows me that content here, and now I can just make this the current page. And now I've basically reverted all of my changes. So every time you save it, it does put an entry into that history so that you can always get back. So you never have to worry about, taking a custom page design and getting so far gone in editing it that you can't get it back, because you can always get it back with this page history button. And now the last thing I'll cover is we also have a recover page functionality. So if I went in here and deleted this page, we'll go ahead and delete it. So now that page is gone, and you'll see it's gone from the list over here. It's also going to be gone from my navigation menu, because that page is gone from everywhere. I can now go over to Recover Page, and you can see all of my deleted pages. So here's my custom page, the date and time it was removed. That's what the content looks like. Recover. And just like that, my page is back. So you have it back there, back in the list. That's all there is to it. So, as always, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call and we'll walk through whatever you need. Otherwise, I will see you again next week. Thanks a lot.